The Village of Lincoln Heights regular council meeting is now in session. Today's date is Monday, July 10th, 2023. The time is 7:43. Roll call, Ms. Randolph.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Present.
Councilwoman Tanya Key.
Present.
Councilman Durant Daniels.
Present.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter.
Present.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber.
Present.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson.
Present.
Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumphrey.
Present.
Mayor, we have 7 who are present. We do have a quorum.
Okay. May the previous prayer sustain for the regular council meeting. We'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you stop there just to make sure we were saying it? Oh, okay.
The mayor prayed.
Okay. Motion, we have listed acceptance of the agenda, the regular consent and supplemental. Is there a motion to accept the, looks like a supplemental agenda is listed?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Motion in order for a committee of the whole meeting minutes from June 26th, as well as the regular council meeting minutes from June 26th, both with any necessary corrections.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ayes have it. Announcements. Councilman Daniels?
No announcements at this time.
Okay. Councilman Charles Jeter?
Thank you, Mayor. Respect My Block will happen tomorrow at 6 p.m. Expect for the residents in the Village of Lincoln Heights to come out and get information. The topic of discussion is Lincoln Heights Festival Weekend. We need volunteers and we need direction from our wonderful We the People. So that's all I have. That's to 6 o'clock. I'll see you tomorrow evening right here.
Thank you. All right. Councilwoman Baber, any announcement from you?
No announcements, Mayor.
Okay. Councilwoman Key?
No announcements.
Vice Mayor Stinson?
I have no announcements, Mayor.
Okay. Councilwoman Mitchell?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to say that the Village of Lincoln Heights and We Thrive is sponsoring a free Shakespeare in the Park on Saturday, July 15th from 7 to 9 o'clock. Prior to that, Marcus G. and the World will be performing at 6 o'clock on our stage. Come out. We think it's going to be a lot of enjoyment. We will have food trucks available, rain or shine.
All right. Thank you. Okay. I don't have any announcements. And our new village manager, Mr. Hobart, any announcements for you?
No, Mayor. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Looks like we don't have anything from hearing from the residents today.
No, Mayor.
Okay. All right. All right. So we'll go into the regular agenda. Ms. Randolph, is there any communications to council?
None at this time, Mayor.
Okay. Yeah, she's all right. I thought it was something else. Okay. We will, I did want to add real quick, we will be listing the upcoming nominees for the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, which should be August 26th. We will be announcing that at the next council meeting, who those nominees are. Okay, that's the only thing that I have. Any communications from you, Mrs. Sy?
No, I'll do the solicitor's report at the second last meeting in
Second
July.
last. Okay, gotcha. All right, is there any old business? No old business, new business?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
this isn't the agenda for reports, but is it okay to submit my economic development report in this meeting, or would you like for me to wait till the next council
You
meeting?
can go ahead and give it, because we didn't have it listed, but normally one would be given today, so it's okay. Okay, we're gonna do it under miscellaneous?
Absolutely. Thank you.
That sounds good, okay. All right. Okay, and then next we have the consent agenda. We don't have anything listed, so we'll go straight into the supplemental agenda. Motion in order for the second reading of resolution number 2023 R30.
And just a reminder, because it's the second reading by default, we will do it by title. So the motion would be if somebody wants it read in its entirety.
Village of Lincoln Heights, Hamilton County, Ohio, resolution number 2023-R-30. A resolution authorizing the village of, I'll start over, I apologize. A resolution authorizing the village to purchase and use employee dishonesty and faithful performance of duty policy through the public entity pool instead of individual surety bonds for officials, employees, and appointees who are otherwise required by law to acquire a bond before entering upon the discharge of duties.
Okay, thank you. Yes, okay, so I know we decided to finish the conversation, to finish the conversation in regular council meetings, so Mr. Desai, you can go ahead, and then I think Councilwoman Key, if you had any,
Yeah, I think
Questions?
Councilwoman Key, if I remember right before we got started, one of your questions was if this was passed in 2020, why is it coming up now? It's because when we were on the cusp of hiring the manager, council asked me to check on the bonding for the manager. And so when I contacted Mr. Beglin, he said, oh, by the way, there's this other product out there. And that's how it came up. So just a couple other things that I gained from my conversation today. Mr. Beglin pointed out that there are no bond forms or anything, so there's no application process other than that really short application that accompanied the sample legislation. If council does pass the resolution tonight on an emergency basis, coverage goes into effect as of the date of passage being today, even though we wouldn't get it up there to them until tomorrow. If there's a change in position, USI would like to know if you have somebody leaving the tax administrator position and somebody else coming in, but it's not required. They will get picked up in the renewal process. The only reason that they said they'd like to know if there's a new person in that position is that if the auditor ever asks them for who's covered under the policy, they want to provide them the most up-to-date information. But from a policy enforcement standpoint, we don't have to do that. That would just be a courtesy. I specifically asked, the pros and cons of the two options. Other than what we have discussed previously, Mr. Beglin did not have anything to add to that. He said, in his opinion, there's no pro to having the bond. He believes the endorsement on the crime policy is the way to go. He wanted to emphasize once again that under the bond, no matter why there was a finding of recovery, even if it was an innocent mistake, the bond company's position, the bond position is that they are going to go after that individual's personal assets to satisfy the finding of recovery. Whereas under this faithful performance, if it's just a mistake but there's no crime committed, they're going to pay out the amount of the recovery without seeking to recuperate that from the individual against whom the finding was made. He said the other thing is that it does eliminate the bonding process. In other words, they don't have have to do the application with the asset check, the credit check, they check on bankruptcy filings. He said that the normal process, if nothing comes up, is 3 to 5 business days with the bond application. I believe that was one of the questions last time. So if we started that process tomorrow to do a bond, theoretically it would either be in place by the end of the week or early the following week. Whereas, of course, as I've mentioned, the date the resolution is passed for the faithful and performance endorsement, it goes into effect as of the date of passage. So there's no lag time. And he said, the biggest pro that he would emphasize, again, is not going after an individual's personal assets if it's just a mistake. He said, the bonding policy doesn't give you that guarantee. So that was the additional information that he had to provide on the bonds versus the faithful performance endorsement.
Ms. Kay, did you have anything you want to add or ask?
Yeah, there are so I do have a question based on what you just read, Mr. Desai. You said if nothing comes up, if you can go back to that. Originally we heard that if we went with the
No, that's with the bond. That's with the bond.
Oh, I thought you were reading it
No.
based on.
He said the bond usually takes 3 to 5 business days if no issues with the application.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but the
And-
faithful performance is retroactive to the date of passage.
Got it. Thank you. But then my other question was based on the new policy that is before us with the dishonesty and faithful performance policy. I'm reading at the bottom, and it says, the following shall apply to the policy. An official, employee, or appointee shall be considered qualified to hold the office or employment without acquiring a bond. The date of the oath of office is taken. There's a lot of an official, employee, or appointee, official, employee, or appointee. So are we saying that this new coverage covers all officials, all employees, and all appointees?
It covers everybody required by Ohio state law or our charter to be bonded. So it does not cover all employees, those that are required to be bonded.
And do we have, or do we know who is required to be bonded in our charter?
I do not offhand know.
Then it also says that, so number 4, the policy shall be equal or greater to the maximum amount of the bond otherwise required by law. So I think I heard you say that for what we're going for $100,000.
Right, we could go for 250, but the majority of municipalities, according to Mr. Beglin, have opted for the 100,000. And the price difference roughly is, he's saying it'd be around $2,100 for 100,000. To go to 250 would be around $3,500.
Okay, I'm still not comfortable with it, but I'm not saying that we should not go with it. I'm just not comfortable with it, just because I'm not really able to compare apples to apples. So,
Well, one thought might be this. We can always switch paths. So everything that I have heard about the policy, I think everything council has heard about the policy so far sounds good. I think the biggest hangup right now is A, who does it cover? And then B, can we see a written copy of each? So council can go ahead and pass this tonight on an emergency basis, which puts the coverage into effect as of today. That then allows us to move to the next resolution to make Mr. Holbert a signer. When I come back with that information, who's covered, and written copies of the policy, if council says, no, we want to go back to the bonds, we could make the shift at that time.
Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just so that I'm clear, because this is the question that I had when I first saw your information. So basically, when we're talking about the bond, the person is responsible. Typically, when you do that, you're looking for somebody whose credit is good, your employees and all that. So you might have hired or want to hire an employee whose credit or had a garnishee or whatever, and then you can't hire them because the bond won't allow it based on credit checks.
Correct.
Okay.
If they don't meet a certain threshold, they're
Right.
not going to issue the
But the
bond.
policy, just like
Doesn't
any
matter.
insurance policy, it covers our losses regardless.
Yeah, there's
And
no.
you don't, and the person is basically absolved, right? We
Yeah.
get all what we need to
You
get.
eliminate the credit check, the background check,
Right.
you know, bankruptcy filings, personal assets, you know, because the bond application, as I understand it, requires you to basically provide a financial statement as if you're going for a loan. So that person has to provide all of their assets, all of their personal information, because the bond is tied to the person.
Okay.
And all that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but all that goes away if you do the faithful performance. They don't ask for any of that stuff.
So even when you talk about who's required, so in the past, we required anybody who was touching the money to be, and the manager to be bonded. But you could have anybody bonded that you wanted to. Wasn't, you had a certain requirement. Under the policy, can't you bond anybody you want to bond?
So you're right about the first piece that yes, you can, when you buy an individual bond, you could buy it on everybody, which I presume is why Mr. Williams, who is, Director of Public Works, is bonded.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I can't imagine that he is required by law to be bonded. I could be wrong about that.
Okay.
The policy will only cover those people who are required to be bonded.
Okay.
So there is, to some extent, a difference there in terms of if the village wanted to bond additional people, or let me rephrase that, wanted to cover additional people, such as Mr. Williams, presuming he doesn't have to be, you'd have to then go back to the bond.
Okay, but it's just for that individual.
Correct.
Oh, okay, so we got the best of both worlds, so to speak.
Yeah, it doesn't stop you from bonding
Okay.
additional people.
Okay, all right.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
So if we, through the new policy, only those who are required by law to be bonded, and we don't know who that is, are we creating a situation for ourselves? Because I thought I remember that Mr. Williams was bonded because he makes purchases, or he is in charge of making purchases for Public Works Department. That's what I thought I recall hearing. So I guess then the question then would become, if he is not, or Public Works Department is not required by law, now we have to add him because I don't know how the administration is going to be set up. If he is, that takes away his purchasing power, or should we take away his purchasing power? And if we do, that's fine. But if we don't know the law, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I found the answer. So this is in Article 9 of the Charter, Section 9.02. It's titled Official Bonds. All officers and employees of the municipality whose duties require them to handle or be concerned with the management of its money or other property shall furnish to the clerk a corporate surety bond issued by a company authorized to do business in Ohio to protect the municipality against loss due to their acts. The amount of such bond shall, in each case, be determined by council. The premiums of such bonds shall be paid from the funds of the municipality. All such bonds shall be filed with the clerk of council. So it's the first part of that. All officers and employees of the municipality whose duties require them to handle or be concerned with the management of its money or other property. So, according to Mr. Beglin, the policy, the faithful performance policy, would cover anybody required by law or our charter to be bonded. So I would interpret that to mean then that because we're requiring anybody who handles or is concerned with the management of its money, they are required by charter to be bonded, so that would include Mr. Williams.
Yes, Vice Mayor?
Wouldn't that also include whoever signs the checks?
Yes.
As well as whoever hands out the credit card? For example, does the,
Finance director.
administrative assistant, does he go to the Kroger's with our credit card to pick up things? Would that include that person, he or she, because I don't know who the person is, but would that require them to be bonded as well?
I don't know if they do that, but if they handle or are concerned with money, then yes, they should be bonded as well.
As well as the mayor's court, she should be bonded.
She
or
is.
whatever. Okay. I
That-
mean,
that's
she would
Ms.
be
Bowers,
included.
right?
She
She
does
is.
handle
That's what we're
money.
discussing, right, who would be
Yeah.
included?
Right. So clearly, you're right. The clerk of court, the tax
Right.
administrator, the manager, the finance director, and we have 6 people. Another one is Mr. Williams, and let me see if, we got 5 people, sorry. So we've got the finance director, we have the clerk of council.
Every employee.
We have the tax administrator, we have the clerk of court, we have the public finance director, and then Mr. Holbert would be the manager. So those would be the 6.
So the only persons, if I may, Mayor, who are not to be bonded or be under the dishonesty and faithful policy would be the other 3 people working in the public works department.
Right, and if they are handling or concerned with the management of money, I don't know if they're making purchases or not, but Mr. Williams might do that all himself, but if they're doing that as well, then we could also get them bonded, well, not bonded, we get them covered under this faithful performance
Does the one
endorsement.
fee cover everybody?
Yeah.
So we're paying, what, 25, what, how much is it?
So right now, we're paying $375 a year for the bonds for
Yeah,
the
no, for
5
the
individuals.
policy, the
With
insurance.
Mr. Holbert, it would go up to $450. With the faithful performance endorsement, it's $2,100
For everybody?
for everybody.
For everybody, all right. So I call for the question.
You want a second on that?
I'm sorry.
You call for the question.
Yeah, so I may, if you,
You want to
Mayor.
close it out?
I thought we were having an open discussion.
just-
There was
I
no
don't
motion on the
discuss it.
table.
Call for the
I don't know what. she
There was no
came
motion
up.
on the table.
So procedurally, if she calls for the question and there's a second, then that cuts off all further debate.
Okay.
I heard call for the question, I did not hear a second.
I said, did you need a second? I asked a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. So are you seconding it?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay. You get that,
Because,
Ms. Randolph?
to,
I want to make sure the clerk has
Well,
that.
if you call for the question.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter second. It was initiated by Councilwoman.
Okay. All right. Okay.
so
So we can go ahead with the, we can go ahead
go
with.
ahead and make the motion, or?
Yeah, she
All
made
right,
the
well,
motion.
let me be sure now, because we
Okay.
rarely have that done, so I don't,
Have a
and I
motion
know
on the
it sounds like there might be some other questions out there, so let me make sure just before we dive down there.
That's a new one.
You guys are working me tonight, man, I tell you.
There was no
And
motion on the floor.
understand,
She
this ain't
read and he
extraordinary,
went right
but
into
it's
discussion.
extraordinary.
If there was a motion on the floor, that's different. There was no
There
motion on
wasn't
the
no
floor.
motion.
I just read the title.
She just read the title.
Exactly, and he
Oh,
went right into
Then he opened
discussion.
into discussion.
Bear with me, everybody.
That's why I like. That's where it came from. She threw me for a loop with that one.
Yeah, we haven't had that one in a while.
She must have looked at her book. Look how
If
she
ever.
All right, so,
No, I'm not trying, I just,
did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's a ballot.
I'm following
She
what I
has to-
think I know.
She
what I
can.
think, not
we
that I
heard
know.
we
That's
heard
what
that at
DPOC
other
is for.
meetings.
Anybody can.
Well, you heard that at another meeting.
Question, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, let her call for it.
okay. So, it says, when a motion is before the village council, only the following procedural motions shall be entertained. So you're right that if there was a motion, it limits the number of motions that can be made. However, it doesn't say that a motion has to be made for these to be used, right? So a motion for the question is approval of the motion for the question, to call the question or previous question, closes debate, but you have to have 5 members vote in favor of it. So it requires a supermajority. Adoption of a motion for the question shall close debate, and village council shall immediately proceed to a vote on the pending question. So,
But Ms. there was
just
no
the way,
question.
the way I take that, the way I read that is, Ms. Mitchell can make that motion. Ms. Childs Jeter seconded it, so now we have to have a vote on the motion, and for it to pass, we need 5.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber.
I'm sorry, just so I'm clear what we're voting on. We're voting that we're no longer having discussions on the conversation, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
We're gonna
all
move
right.
to voting on the legislation, correct.
Parliamentary procedures.
You say, so we're not voting on the legislation?
Right, we're not voting on the legislation, that we're voting on Ms. Mitchell's motion to close debate, basically, and move to the next thing, which would be to vote on the legislation.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber.
I'm gonna abstain.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter.
Yes.
Councilman Durant Daniels.
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key.
No.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson.
No.
Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
We have 4 aye votes, 2 nays, and 1 abstention. The motion does not pass.
So we can continue with discussion and debate.
Well, I will start this off, saying that because we have Mr. Hobart here and that we have not completed what we need to move forward on something. We can talk about this all night, and we can pretend to be lawyers. I'm not one. You know, we need to know what's best for the village, so we won't get ourselves in trouble down the line. So you have already stated to Mr. Desai that if any changes need to be made, that we can come back and do that. Right now, we need the position to be taken care of. And that is my opinion there. And, you know, let's just do good business so that the public won't come back and say, we have not done our due diligence there, you know, which we don't have everything that we may need prior to this, and it is something new to us. But if we can change it later, we don't desire to do this, then that can happen. But we must protect the village manager that we have already hired.
So we can bond him.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
So that was my final question, which was if this motion does not pass tonight or this legislation does not pass tonight, we should be using our current process through application to bond Mr. Hobart through our current process until we have figured out this new process and if we want to do it. We talk about due diligence. I really want to do my due diligence on it.
That 31. Yeah, so if that happens, then the R31 will have to be a first reading, and we would have to vote on it at the
Correct.
council meeting.
That was my understanding
Mm-hmm.
for R31 as well.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to go ahead and move forward. I said no because I don't think you should stop somebody from asking their questions.
Mayor, back to the
So is
solicitor.
that a motion to
I
pass it or
have full
what?
faith in Mr. Desai tonight that he will make sure that everything is in order so that we won't have issues with the position.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Desai, let me ask this question. So a couple of us thought that the bond would have been done until we decided whether or not to do this. We thought that was a discussion last week. Some of us don't think that that was the case. Who should have moved forward in getting the bond? Let's say he started and the the dishonesty and faithful policy hadn't come up. He's here, and he started, before he started July 1st, who should have started the process to get the bond done? So we need to understand who's supposed to do what, so the people know what to do. And I think that's the problem from where I sit, that even if you had not brought up this information, somebody was supposed to start that surety bond. Who was supposed to do that? We don't know. I would say that it should have been the acting village manager, or somebody should have brought something to council to say, hey, let's do this. I mean, it's already in the charter. So if the charter says, as I've been saying, anybody who has something to do with the money, including the manager, is supposed to get the bond. You know, so we're gonna sit here again tonight, and it's still not gonna happen because we don't know who's supposed to initiate that process. It certainly cannot be Mr. Hobart. Now, if he hires somebody else to do something, he will start that process. Who's gonna start the process for Mr. Hobart? Bottom line.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a good point. You know, hopefully Mr. Holbert will be the last manager we have to ever hire. But I think council probably needs to be aware of that if we do get into this situation again, you know, when you're wearing two hats, say as finance director and interim manager, that's one of those details that I could see not being on the radar. But I just think collectively as a group, you know, if we do find ourselves in this position again, we need to be making this decision up front. I think also this probably got a little derailed. I don't know that, you know, it was brought to council in June before Mr. Holbert started with the expectation that it would kind of be a non-issue. Yeah. So I think that's part of the wrinkle as well. But you make a good point. When you don't have a captain in the ship and you're used to the captain initiating those protocols, probably it falls back onto council to make sure that that's done in terms of, you know, when you don't have a captain at the ship to get that going. And council can always direct me as well. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but I do think you bring up a good point for best practices moving down the road.
Well, in that case, I make a motion that Mr. Desai be instructed to start the surety bond for Mr. Holbert.
I second it.
It's been moved in second. Roll call.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman, Durant Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
No.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Wait a minute.
Hold on. Is it to do the which one is it? Is the surety bond
Surety bond
or
where he
the
would,
faithful performance?
the surety bond where he would get paid, we pay the $75 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Wait,
Right,
wait a
but we
minute.
have somebody.
Can I make a suggestion? Why don't we see what happens with this legislation first? Because if the legislation passes, there's no need to do the surety bond.
Okay.
So, and you could always bring that motion back up under miscellaneous business, Ms. Mitchell.
Getting them all confused.
It's not?
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand, so you're gonna tell the mayor to ask for the motion for 2023 or that.
Well, if you don't,
Right.
if you're okay
I'm
with that,
fine with waiting to see what
do you
this
mind
does.
withdrawing your motion
I
then?
rescind my motion.
Okay. And so maybe we ought to move to the legislation, because again, if this passes, we don't need to worry about the bond. And then, you know, me initiating that process is moot. So we've had our second reading. If someone on council desires to move this through tonight, we'll need a motion to suspend the rules.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
so that's based on if it does passes. If it doesn't passes, then that means whoever is in that administrative position, i.e. Mr. Key, who is interim, would submit an application on behalf of Mr. Holbert, right, for the surety bond, which is our current process.
Yeah, I think we're going to clear that up under miscellaneous business if this doesn't pass, because I think Ms. Mitchell's going to make a specific motion of who she wants to initiate that.
I am going to do that, but is Mr. Keith still the interim manager with Mr. Holbert here?
He's not.
So it would
Okay.
be Mr. Desai, not Mr. Key.
Got it, okay.
Okay. Okay.
Motion to suspend the rules?
Second.
It's been moved in second to suspend the rules of Resolution R30. Roll call.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
I'm a abstain.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durant Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
No.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson, Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
We have 5 aye votes, 1 abstention, 1 nay. The motion does pass.
Motion for passage.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Abstain.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durant Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
No.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson, Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
Mayor, we have 5 aye votes, 1 abstention, 1 nay. The motion does pass.
Motion for the emergency clause.
Motion.
Second.
Moved in second.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Abstain.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durant Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
No.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson, Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
We have 5 aye votes, 1 abstention, and 1 nay. The motion does pass.
Motion in order for resolution.
Huh?
Yes, go ahead.
So, Ms. Randolph, if you could have the mayor sign this tonight, and you sign it as well, and then if you could scan and email that to me tomorrow morning, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll make a real quick note. Okay.
Okay, back to motion in order for resolution R31. What's your pleasure, council?
No, you don't. I think everybody got this
Yeah.
before tonight's meeting, so the only motion will be if somebody wants it read by its entirety.
Okay. Village of Lincoln Heights, Hamilton County, Ohio, resolution number 2023-R-31, resolution authorizing Harry Holbert as a signer on the First Financial Bank National Association account connected with the general fund account for the Village of Lincoln Heights.
Now, we can suspend, right, because we passed this other one. Motion to suspend.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Roll call.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durant Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson, Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
Mayor, we have 7 aye votes. The motion does pass.
Motion for passage.
So move.
Second.
Moved in second.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durant Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
We have 7 aye votes. The motion does pass.
Motion for the emergency clause.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Roll call.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durant Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
We have 7 aye votes. The motion does pass.
Motion in order for resolution R32.
Motion to hear by title only.
Okay, I thought I was supposed to do it, okay.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Child, that's what I started reading. Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durance Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson, Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree.
Yes.
We have 7 aye votes. The motion does pass. Village of Lincoln Heights, Hamilton County, Ohio, resolution number 2023-R-32. A resolution authorizing the Village of Lincoln Heights, Hamilton County, Ohio, to pick up the statutory required contribution to the Ohio Public Employees Retirement System for the manager of the Village of Lincoln Heights pursuant to Internal Revenue Code 414, sub H, sub 2.
Any questions? There are no questions. Motion to suspend.
So move.
Second.
Moved in second.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durance Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson, Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree.
Yes.
We have 7 aye votes. The motion does pass.
Point of, just a quick question. I know we're working on this legislation where it just says the manager, and nowhere in the legislation it specifies which manager we're referring to. Is it too late to add anything in here that says it is for the current manager or something like that? So it's not just general?
I mean, yes, it is too late, but we only have one manager by charter in the village.
No, I understand that, but I'm talking about, down the road. This won't catch us up down the road. 10 years from now, we have a new manager. We will
Oh,
have to-
yeah, if Mr. Holbert leaves, we're gonna rescind this legislation.
got it.
Yeah, we have
Thank
to,
you.
we have to, yeah.
Okay.
And
thank you.
unfortunately, you're not allowed to do it by name, or I would have said Harry Holbert.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, thanks. Motion for passage?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved in second.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durance Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree.
Yes.
We have 7 aye votes. The motion does pass.
Motion for the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Roll call.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durance Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree.
Yes.
We have 7 aye votes. The motion does pass.
All right, there's no executive session? Okay, any miscellaneous business?
Madam Mayor, I have 2 pieces of miscellaneous business.
Yes, ma'am.
One of which is the Standing Committee Report for the Economic Development Committee. I'll be brief. I'll read it out. We had our last, is that okay, Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We had our last meeting July 3rd, 2023. We had a quorum present. We had a couple members who were absent. They did notify the clerk that they were going to be absent. The items that we discussed, the fact that we had no quorum back in April, May, and June, which is why we didn't have an economic development meeting. We talked again about the land use study, which is being considered in the planning commission. And, excuse me, I have committee there, but it should be commission. And we are hoping that they go in session so that they can have discussion on the land use plan or the land use study. We had a housing report that was completed by LISC, which is the local initiatives to support corporations. So there was a motion to move to council to accept that report, which I'll make a little later. We talked about our contracts with Southwest Water and the Village of Lockland Reservoir, the fact that they were in perpetuity. We want to have some more discussion on those contracts. We talked about some street issues over at Mangum and Chamberlain, Lindy and Wayne, and we have a new village manager, so we put that back on his plate, and he'll take a look at that and give us some information in our September meeting. We discussed the funding that came from First Financial that allows us to create and assist with code enforcement issues, or create a program to assist with code enforcement issues. And we will start looking at developing what that process is going to be, and how to support our homeowners in the village if they have code enforcement issues that will qualify for those fundings. We look to establish a regularly scheduled meeting with the village manager and the economic development chair. The action items, we didn't list any action items at this time because we are kind of coming back up to speed with our new manager. So in September, we'll have some additional items. We asked for a motion to accept the economic development report as presented, as well as the minutes from our March meeting. We're also, should I motion that, or should I just say that that's our recommendations? Should I do them one at a time, or what do you prefer?
So you're looking for,
A motion to accept this report.
and there's nothing else, right?
Well, it's two motions.
The housing plan report?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you do them separately?
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the economic development report.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, your next one?
And I'd like to make a motion to accept the housing plan report.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. My other item of miscellaneous business is that, that resolution 2023 R-30 did pass. Can we, can council expect to receive the policy, the dishonesty and faithful performance of duty policy, submitted to us so that we have it for our records?
Right, let me tell you what, I sent two notes to myself. The first one was physical copies of the two policies, and then I think we answered the second one, which is what positions are covered under the faithful performance endorsement. So I think just that one, physical copies of the two policies. And then the other note I sent was, well, that was if this didn't pass to start the surety bond process. But so the only note I have is physical copies of the bond and physical copies of the faithful performance policy. Is there anything else? Everybody else good? Okay. Yep, I'll get those. And just while I have the mic, if you don't mind, Mayor, Ms. Randolph, if you don't mind me amending my request before, I know Mr. Key's going to need R31 so that he can get Mr. Holbert on as quickly as possible on the First Financial Bank account. And then he's also going to need R32 because he needs to get a code from OPERS to code that properly. And so I think really all three of them, if you can have them signed tonight and give them to
Yes.
Mr. Key. And then if you wouldn't mind, just copy me on it, and I'll pull the one I want to make sure it gets to Mr. Beglin, okay?
Will do.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm
Mayor?
sorry. You're probably going to do what I was going to ask.
At
ahead,
this time,
Ms.
I'd like
Mitchell.
to move that council adopt the Lincoln Heights 2024 tax budget.
Second.
It's been moved in second.
Roll call.
Okay.
Just do roll call on it.
Okay. Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilman Durance Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree.
Yes.
We have 7 aye votes. That motion does pass.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I also like to suspend the rules of council so that we may hear the resident who is here tonight.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Roll the second. Call the second. I don't know. Call the doctor.
Is it second?
Call the midwife.
Come on up, Mr. Sales.
Okay. So you want to
Go to
come
the
up here
mic,
to the
Jim.
mic and state your name and address, if you will, please.
My name is Jimmy Sales. I live at 1217 Terry Court. And it's not a real big problem, but I think in the cul-de-sac, you need no parking signs there because it's real narrow getting in there. And sometimes They have cars parked on both sides, catty corner. Hey, you have a fire, it's gonna be a problem. That's a safety thing, violation, I think. And plus, hey, you got UPS, you know, they come in, can't turn around. Hey, you go anywhere else outside of here, you can't do that. So I called up on it, and they came and checked. So they told me, said the best thing to do is check with council here, and they pretty sure they could get that done. And if it wouldn't have been for you, I had forgot all about it when I saw you yesterday, and I
Okay.
came down here late.
So you had another problem though, Mr. Sales, with the Rumpke.
Oh yeah, Rumpke. Yeah, Rumpke truck. You know they can't get down. They can't get down in there.
So,
Real tight.
so Mr. Sales, so let me make sure I understand. So they're parking on the Congress part or inside the cul-de-sac where you live?
Inside the cul. Yeah,
Okay.
inside. When you first come in, it's real narrow. It's probably the narrowest one you got up there. But
It
look,
is real tight in there.
Yeah, but you need to put a no parking sign. I don't care. You can tag me. you know, if I violate, I can put 4 cars in my driveway, and the next neighbor can put 3 in theirs. Hey, you just can't do that.
It hasn't always been like that, has it? Is it because more people have moved in that cul-de-sac?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's all right. You know, you can park.
Cul-de-sac should be bare, so that people can.
Yeah, they can put 2 cars there. I mean, if you
Yeah,
got 5
it
or
is a
6,
very small cul-de-sac, very small.
So your preference is no parking on either side of the road, of that cul-de-sac? No parking at all, that's what you want?
Yeah. If not, hey, I'm gonna tell you, I put mine in there, but I don't want nobody else coming down there parking if I put mine in there. Tag me. I don't.
All
I'm
right,
down here.
all right. So so what we're gonna have you do is get with our village manager, Mr. Holbert, and he'll probably need to come out and take a look at that area with you. I'm sure he'll be able to
Well, man,
follow up with us and see how it turns out.
Hey, she'll turn out right.
All right.
So Jimmy,
Like everywhere else.
you want to sign in over there? Did you sign in? Is it?
No.
It's a,
to contact you, yeah.
Mayor,
you sign the contact sheet, so he'll be able to contact you.
S-A-Y. Okay. S-A-Y-L-E-S.
No, I think the
I was
mayor.
motioning to adjourn.
Oh, no, I have a,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
don't motion yet. I have a miscellaneous question I wanted to ask.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Baber.
So I was looking in this, in the minutes from, I guess, the last council meeting, and I wasn't here, and I see that Vice Mayor Jenny Simpson made a motion to authorize and direct the village solicitor to file for injunction relief in Hamilton County courts against the business operating without a village or Lincoln Heights without a business license. So what exactly does this mean?
Yes, Mr. Desai.
So there are a number of businesses, despite being provided notice that they are required to have a business license, have not applied for one and continue to operate. And so the question arose, I believe before last meeting, what do we do? How do we enforce them getting a business license? And the way you enforce that is you file a complaint for injunctive relief in the Hamilton County Court of Common Pleas. And it basically says, here's our ordinance, here's business A operating in the village, here's the notices we sent. To date, they've not applied for or received a business license. Therefore, we ask the court to order them to get a business license. And I don't know if there's a penalty. I'll have to look at that. But if there's a penalty, to award the village a penalty for them failing to comply. So that's the process.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Is there any other miscellaneous business? If not, a motion for adjournment.
For adjournment, Mayor?
Second it.
It's been moved in second. Everybody have a good night and see you all next Saturday.